Everyone, Mike Roberts, founder and CEO of SpyFu and RivalFlow. One of the things that we were wrong about when we launched RivalFlow was we thought that people would need to have like a website with like 30 or 50 pages and maybe rank on like 1,000 keywords. So a not necessarily huge website, but like a reasonably, have a decent SEO footprint established. And we thought that those would be the customers that would be willing to kind of invest their time and their money in a product like RivalFlow that would help them improve their existing content, right? Like you have to have an existing content portfolio in order to use RivalFlow. But it turns out that there's a really big appetite among people that want to rank, but don't rank very well yet, right? Obviously, if you already rank well, that things are going to work out well. But we didn't realize that there's a bunch of people, like local businesses, small businesses, and then another really great customer, obviously, for us is agencies. And agencies have lots of customers that have relatively small sites. So I'm going to refer to them as small sites. This sort of small site problem isn't meant to, be insulting, but from our perspective, there's like really big sites and then there's smaller sites. And so like we've made over 600 improvements to RivalFlow since we launched. I think we're at about 622 as of today. And many of those are actually improving RivalFlow to work better for small sites. One of the very first things that we did was for a site like SpyFu, our competitor list is relatively focused. There's like maybe 12 or 15 competitors that matter in any real way. As if you're like a dentist or a law firm, that number becomes much larger. Like the competitor list is more highly fragmented, right? Like you could go to any of these dentists within like your zip code or like this random 20-mile radius. Those are all good competitors in the SERP, and obviously they are real competitors in real life. So the first thing that we did, the first major improvement, like was pretty close to like, I don't know, a month or less after launch. And that was when we just sort of, we look at the size of the competitor, or basically look at like how dense was their competitor, how fragmented or dense was their competitor list. And then we would expand that list. So sometimes you'll put in a website in the beginning, by the way, when you put in a website, we'd pretty much give you about 15 competitors, right? Something around the maybe 15, maybe 20, maybe 30 competitors. But now we look way outside that sort of like tightly focused group for local businesses, right? We're looking at a bigger picture. Sometimes, of course, the biggest competitors that you would have wouldn't be in your own area. And so we continue to improve that. And like in the last 2 weeks, we released a major improvement to our recommendation engine, such that now you'll see, and I'll show you in a demo here, that the competitors that we're recommending don't rely so much on that like overlap on keywords, but it's more focused on, what is the content look like? And that basically gives us we wind up making these much more local references, and so the content recommendations are vastly better. Like it's something that customers have been asking for. We worked really hard to solve it, and it took the better part of 9 months to kind of figure out a solution for it. The second thing that we did on the way to kind of improving things for these smaller sites, like that maybe you don't notice right away, but the pick a page, right? So we used to be called custom projects, and so if you go into pick a page here, we can actually just choose. It doesn't have to be a page that ranks particularly well and has like a whole bunch of competing pages that mean a lot, right? You can actually go in here and pick any of the pages that your site has, as long as it ranks on anything. And so one of the things that we're coming out with, like next week, is the ability to pick a page that you have that doesn't have any traction. Now, RivalFlow is my company, SpyFu is my company. So we use SpyFu data to drive a lot of the information. And SpyFu, we run searches on Google, 700 million, 800 million searches per month in 30 different countries for the last 18 years, right? So we have a very large footprint of SERP data, right? It's a really big engine. So when we look and we see that a page doesn't rank in the top 100 on any of the 700 million keywords, it pretty much doesn't rank. That said, obviously it's possible that it's in the index, but right as it currently is, we don't recommend anything or we don't even surface things that are in pick a page that don't rank at all. Now, next week, you'll be able to put in those pages because it might be something that you just recently published, or it might be like a piece of content like my sister has a whole bunch of blog articles that don't rank at all, like nothing. And they're thin content, frankly. And that's actually a really good opportunity to improve that thin content, to at least just get a foothold and see if Google gives you any sort of authority vectors. So let's dive in and have a look at like some of these core features, and I'll walk you through exactly how they make it so that these smaller sites can rank better and improve their content. So there's a part of me that wants to show you like a different example, just to like make it so that it's a little bit less meta. But the reality is that I don't think that there's anything wrong with this. When we first built RivalFlow, we actually kind of built it to solve our own problems. And and what I mean by that is we wanted to solve the problems of SpyFu, right? And so we built the thing around, to work really well for a company like SpyFu, where we have a decent amount of traction, we rank on a decent number of keywords, and we've got a good number of pages. And so if you're a B2B SaaS company, RivalFlow actually has always really just done, like, it's absolutely kills it for you, right? And it's definitely gotten better over the years, over the last few months. Sorry, years. It seems like it's been years, but it's just a couple of months. But you can see that like these recommendations are really solid. These are better than they used to be, but they were always pretty good, and RivalFlow always worked pretty well for sites like SpyFu. B2B SaaS kicked butt. Okay, but it didn't really do that great of a job for like a local. For like a local law firm. Now this is like a lawyer that's like a neighbor of the SpyFu office, so I know the guy, and we'd put this in and it would like work pretty well, but sometimes we wouldn't get these like local recommendations. It would sometimes do things, it would make subject matter solid recommendations, but not like, he wouldn't identify this as something that's like, a direct hit to what he's targeting. And so, but now, right, you can see that we're pretty much crushing it. These are all like local Arizona companies. Some of them are actually even in Scottsdale. Huge improvement in our recommendation engine, and that's reflected here. So let's look at another one. How about like so this is an interesting one, right? So this is a case where with these small and local businesses, like dentists and such, you often have like the top page is fairly frequently like the dentist's name or something, right? It's like let's meet the doctor. Okay, so those aren't really the pages that, as an agency or really as an owner that you really want to optimize for. You're probably going to rank on those no matter what, but they happen to be the ones for your relatively low traffic site that get the, that like make it into the recommendations. Those are the ones that, for us, we want to like double down on our highest traffic stuff, but you might not want to, right? So we added the first thing that we added for to improve kind of everybody's lives, but it specifically helps out with these small sites, is the pick a page, which used to be called custom projects. And you come in here and you can realistically, the types of pages that you're probably going to want to improve are like these dental implant ones or gum disease. So like what happens if I go into here? So we're gonna make a perfect recommendation, right? Perfectly spot on. This is like gum disease treatment, Pacific Heights, San Francisco, perfect spot on recommendation. If you happen to not like it, or if you want to see what else is on the SERP, you can just choose to change competitor content, and you could choose any of these ones if you want to. You could also change the keyword that we're targeting. So that's something that really helps out with these relatively small sites. What's coming next is really amazing, and it's personal to me because this is my sister's website, okay? Her website is Brightside Mortgage. She's an amazing loan officer. She's an amazing, sort of mortgage broker. Does phenomenal work, but their webpage is all right. We're doing a pretty good job of surfacing keywords that are pretty good, but you see this sort of same concept here where it's like this person's name and stuff like that is really what actually gets the most traffic to their site. So it's not great, but here's what's crazy is when we go and we actually look at her site, right? And we go in here and we look at her blog. She has an absolute ton of content, like recent content that when you look at it, you're like, wow, that's going to be something truly insightful. But then you go in and you're like, rent versus buy or whatever, you go in and it's like, wow, that is some incredibly thin content. It's not a surprise that when we go into pick a page, that none of that stuff ranks, right? You as an SEO, you would know this would be a perfect client for you, right? Well, here's the deal. My sister is going, it's like this is near and dear to my heart. She's going to wind up, benefiting significantly from RivalFlow, because what we're doing next, and this is coming probably like next week, or it depends on when you see this. It'll either be like next week or it'll already be out, right? But what we're releasing is the ability to choose a page that doesn't currently have any traction. Now, these are some of these pages that she have been published recently. Some of them have been published like a year ago, right? But none of them rank, and that doesn't matter because we're going to help her out, and we're going to help clients out and customers out with pages that don't have any traction whatsoever. Maybe they're in Google, but they don't have any real traction, and I mean that from a statistical perspective, meaning we're tracking 700 million keywords, maybe 1.5 billion globally, and like looking at like 100 pages, 100 positions down in the SERP, and we don't see them and never have, right? Like maybe they rank, but not on anything that we're looking at or have looked at in the last 20 years or 18 years or whatever. How long SpyFu's been around? Pretty long time. So anyway, those are the things coming down the pipe.